I started my activism and I would say, yo, I'm Travis Cullen. I got arrested when I was 21, first time felon, 700 pounds. I did 8 years in prison. They'd be like, you got sentenced to 8? I'd be like, no, I got sentenced to 11, but I did 8. But we had weed in there.
You did?
Yep. They would smuggle it in.
How would you light it?
I've learned and read so much. I wrote a book about the first bust in American history, and nobody can take anything of the work that I've done. And I don't have any chip on my shoulder, I guess, towards like society. I'm grateful that rules changed, but I definitely want to keep helping people that were impacted like me, keep with the spirit of social equity.
Welcome back to the Canna Connect Show, Season 2, brought to you by What Rebates. I'm here with Travis Cullen, Hopkins Dispensary, freedom fighter, activist, marijuana prisoner turned activist, and not just doing it for himself, but doing it for people that are locked up, that have been locked up. Owner of Hopkins Dispensary, but so much more. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, license holder too. That's the big thing when I'm out there in the activism world now. So when I first started cannabis with, in general, when Minnesota legalized in the hemp, I started my activism and I would say, yo, I'm Travis Cullen. I got arrested when I was 21, first time felon, 700 pounds. I did 8 years in prison. They'd be like, you got sentenced to 8? I'd be like, no, I got sentenced to 11, but I did 8. So anyways, now when I'm out there, like I just got back from Vegas at the Freedom Fest, a libertarian event, spreading the word about cannabis prisoners. When I talk about the cannabis prisoners, I can say I'm a licensed holder, and that makes a big difference, especially to the folks in power right now, like the Republicans and stuff. You say, man, this guy has a license holder and I pay sales taxes, so yeah, it's huge.
Absolutely. 700 pounds. What were they moving like how now that you've served your time, like what was the sales channel like? What was the supply chain like? You were
in 2004 when I got arrested.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the second you got marijuana, they called it marijuana, then to Minnesota, you could like double your money. Or if you smuggled it yourself from like California, I got caught with brickweed. We paid $300 a pound, and then we'd sell it for like $500 wholesale. The 700 pounds, we would front weed back then too,
Right.
But then they had the weed coming from Canada also, the Canadian BC bud, so that would come down. But yeah, it was like liquid gold, 4,000 a pound, and then the Mexican brickweed was like 500 a pound on the streets, 600.
So in my world, in the digital space, there's a million different ways to launch a website, build a platform, take online payments. But, software as a service is tough. POS software in general, right? There's a lot of different ones out there, especially in the cannabis space. I don't know the right one. If you ask a lot of different dispensary owners, there probably isn't a right one. It's just what path do you want to go to that leads it down? What path have we gone down?
Are you referring to Dutchy, the modern cannabis commerce point of sale system?
Newly integrated AI solutions?
I mean, they have so many different ways that they can serve cannabis businesses, brands, wholesalers, etc. They're not just point of sale technology anymore.
Right.
Dutchy's been a great partner for us. They can definitely help you. They're in more stores in America than any other point of sale company. So they must be doing something.
I hope so. And if you're going to look up our boy, look up Gus.
Yeah, Gus Savastos with Dutchy, based out of Ohio. Served the Midwest market well. He's here often. He's been on the show before. We love working with Gus. We love working with the whole team at Dutchy. Check them out and let them know Canna Connect sent you. We'll include the link in the end of the description. What were some of the biggest weight? Like, how much weight would you flip? Like, what was the...
Well, it was worth a lot more money. We'd get 200 pounds of indoor fronted every month from some Canadian guys, and they would charge us like $3,500 a pound. It was zeros. It would be labeled 0 for the best, 1, 2, 3, and 4s. 4s for the not the best, like more of the red hairs, crystally, and then the 4s wouldn't smell as good, and then the zeros would be real crystally. But yeah, we get it fronted like 200 pounds.
Wow.
Sell that a month, so that's 700,000 fronted to me, and then I could put like 400 a pound I'd put on it. and it would go quick. And when I had a group of guys I would give it to, and it was awesome. I
Wow.
loved it. And then I got caught.
And then you got caught. And from when you got caught to how long you were in jail, like you got arrested right away. Were you on bond or were you just in jail from that point?
Yeah, I was a first time felon. I was 21 years old. Me and my co-defendant, my best friend Ben Schukert, my high school from Ben. From high school, we've been best friends since 8th grade. He got arrested with me. I was talking on the phone to a driver with 700 pounds of weed that I sent to California to get, and then Ben had the misfortune of me stopping by and waking him up that morning and say, "Hey, we owned a restaurant together on 15th and Como, Southeast Minneapolis, Mikey's, 1517 Como Avenue." That's where I got arrested at, actually.
Wow.
And so I was working, and then he went and met the driver who got pulled over in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, on Highway 90, and flipped right away to the DEA. So he had a DEA agent sitting next to him, and I was on the phone talking to him, So I was hooked up, and then Ben unfortunately got hooked up. He did 5 years.
Okay. And when you were in jail, like, what did you think of your life at that point? What did
I
you
was
do?
like, man, I'm gonna be in prison forever. I had no idea that like marijuana would be legal one day. I did say it to the judge. I was like, yo, judge, they're selling it legally in California medical back then. And they're like, that don't matter.
Mhm.
And they gave me 135 months when I was 21.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, when I got to prison, I was like, man, I need to find some weed to smoke some weed in here or something. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah,
You didn't have CBD back then. There's
none of that.
none of
It was, yeah, none of that. We didn't have vapes back then. That would have been cool to have vapes in prison. But we had weed in there.
You did.
Yep. They would smuggle it in. They would swallow balloons and poop it out. And then they would sell it in chapstick caps. And then you would buy books of stamps to mail,
Yeah.
20 stamps on commissary. And you would give them like 2 books of stamps for the littlest piece of weed. Out of a chapstick cap, the top of a chapstick cap full of weed, you get like 8 2-bookers or some 2 books of stamps.
How would you light it?
You take 2 batteries, and then you take a Goya pack, and you slit the Goya pack with a razor blade into little pieces. You hook the 2 batteries up together like that, and roll the joint with the outside of a toilet paper. And you blaze it up inside federal prison. Hell yeah.
I think one of the things that you're known for that you put out there is like there's a difference in your history. There's a difference in your
Yeah.
perspective as it relates to this cannabis, the legal cannabis market here in Minnesota, and some of the culture that some of the experiences that you had given that you were trapping before it was legal, that you served time for.
Yeah, and all my
moving
friends,
weight,
yeah.
and your friends. You're not alone. You've brought your
Yeah.
people with you. Like people feel that whether it's through you or through your dispensary, and it gives you guys an air of confidence to say this isn't our first time doing this. We're not just some money investors that are like, oh, we should make money in cannabis. You're probably better off at this entrepreneurial venture because you have experience in the space.
Yeah, it's much more personal to me. Hopkins, I got arrested. Went to high school out there. I went to high school in St. Louis Park. I actually got caught selling a quarter pound of weed my senior year, and I graduated high school from the county homeschool, which was in Hopkins. So I have a Hopkins high school diploma. And yeah, when I was a kid, 21 years old, and they gave me 135, there was no 135 months. There was no talking about cannabis is good. There was no talking about the medical benefits. They're like, oh, you're bad. And I was like, really, all it was in high school, I didn't want to go be drunk all the time. So I smoked pot with my friends as an adventure of something to do. And in that adventure, we built a secret society, and we all kind of love each other. And we think you guys are idiots that drink. So that's kind of like, I tried explaining that, but they don't want to hear any of that. So I was like, okay, either you come a rat and tell on all your friends, or you're going to prison for a long time, because that's what it came down to. It was not in 2004 when I got caught behind that load. It wasn't about like cannabis is good or we're going to start a business or any of that. It was just about, we got you, and you're going to give up your network or you're going to go to prison for a long time, and everybody else gives up the network. So, and I was just like, it is my conviction of who I was was like, no, let's just go to prison forever. You know what I mean? That's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where are you at with alcohol nowadays? Is it
I never drink ever. since I got home from prison, I've never been drunk at a bar. You know, I'm not a saint. I've obviously, you know, I've had my struggles throughout my life,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't drink alcohol.
Do you have a family network that you still rely on?
Prison pretty much decimated my family network.
Okay.
I have my best friend Ben, my mother, and yeah,
Okay.
and I have people that share that story with me of what happened to me when I was young, because like it's part of their life too. Like they remember, a lot of people remember what happened to me, and that one day I was back. And then it was kind of interesting because when I went to prison, they gave me a federal enhancement called leader organizer, where they said I was a leader of 5 or more participants. So obviously,
In a good way or a negative way?
say that I was directing. No, it wasn't good. It cost me 4 more years in prison.
Right, I see what you mean.
Being the organizer, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I came home in 2013, and I tried selling weed, but the market was just gone for like the industry I was used to. So I was just kind of like old school. You know, I tried hustling a few times, but I just, you know, but I do remember those people I sold weed to, and like they remember me, and it's just like, yeah. And now I started selling weed again
Okay.
legally because
What year did you get out?
2013.
Okay, so you got out. And it's a whole different market at that point.
Yeah,
Fast forward 10 years, you and I meet,
Canna Connect.
Canna Connect,
You know,
Freedom Grow was the group, and their nonprofit, and a shout out to Sue, and shout out to
yeah. I
you,
watched the movie The Need for Speed on Netflix with Randy Lanier.
Randy Lanier.
And I was like, yo, this dude did 27 years for weed. So like anybody that's been through what I've been through, like Randy Lanier, he did 27 years for weed. He was a race car driver. He was running Freedom Grow at the time. And like it will be bonded because, you know, like my story and what happened to me is like it happened.
Sure.
And it's part of like the history of cannabis. So we're all kind of linked, and that's how I got in with Freedom Grow.
And those early days, for us, it was, we should have a nonprofit. My thinking around how we linked up was, yes, we should have a nonprofit. Yes, we should have activists at Canna Connect events. And we should never say no to somebody like Travis, because he's speaking the truth, and he's speaking a truth that very few in the Minnesota market are acknowledging or have that same experience. Like, there aren't a lot of underground distributors that were willing to put their head out and say, "This is what I'm doing. I'm actively campaigning for cannabis legalization, and I'm willing to do it at a Canna Connect event," which is, more mainstream, more, I can only speak for myself. Like, I'm from Plymouth. I've never been to
St. Louis Park.
Right, sure. And yeah, so we have things in common, but like, we were focused on the hemp beverage market at that point, or the gummies more so. That, early Canna Connect was 2023, low potency. We knew cannabis was coming to be legalized that year, August 1st. But like, I appreciate you taking a chance on me, and vice versa, because we've always been legit with each other.
Yeah.
But tell me, like, your achievements from, let's say, when you're next to Sue at the booth, to coming back from Vegas, and getting back into your
Yeah,
dispensary, because you've really done everything you've wanted to do.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, it all started with the state of Minnesota and the Democrat legislators passing social equity. Because for me, I was just like, when the Minnesota opened up, I had a granite countertop business, so I was already an entrepreneur. I was running my own business. I did that for 6 years after I got out of prison, but I was like, just let me get a license. You know what I mean? And then they said social equity. I was like, what is social equity? And you are one of the pioneers. Like when you had Canna Connect, it was kind of like it was a great meeting of democracy almost, because I remember back then 2-3 years ago, it was grassroots, a bunch of people that really cared about smoking weed and getting it together. And we all met in that wilderness basement, and I remember we were in the back room, and there was like whatever lead advocates at the time, And I was like, well, I got up. I was like, well, you said social equity, because I was like literally in my granite countertop work clothes. And I was like, well, here's social equity for you. You know what I mean? I did 8 years and I'm still decimated. And my friends are still in prison now. And that goes to, I didn't understand any of this. And since the journey, like you tell, that was probably 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I've learned and read so much. I wrote a book about the first bust in American history, and nobody can take anything of the work that I've done and and now I understand the big picture of the 90s drug war and everything. The Minnesota Democrat legislators understand history.
Sure.
So there's a lot of history to America, right?
Right.
And I got entangled in the bad drug laws of marijuana, and through those bad drug laws, I got max sentenced. I wasn't going to court saying, oh, I just told on all my friends, let me get 2 years. No, I was like, fuck this prosecutor, let's roll. You know what I mean? Not even like I was scared as hell, but it was like, and the prosecutor's like, I want 17 years. And the Judge Richard Kyle, he was like, nah, first time felon, I'm not doing all that. He gave me 11. You know what I mean? So it's like, what I came from was what the legislators read about, and they understood history. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a part of history, and I know I can maybe be abrasive to a couple people or whatever, but they don't understand what I've been through and what social equity really means. Social equity is about history. It's about recognizing that America has done shit, particularly with cannabis. You know, I'm here for cannabis policy. You know what I mean? It's 2026, but America's done stuff to marginalized communities too, behind cannabis prohibition, and cannabis has never hurt anybody before.
Right.
So for them to recognize that history, it emboldened me to become an activist. So without that, I wouldn't have done nothing.
And who at the Minnesota at the state level?
Probably Jess Hansen. She was like meeting everybody and coming around. She inspired me. She brought me backstage to speak on stage. And I remember Zach Stevens.
You spoke on stage at First Avenue?
When they legalized. And I remember Zach Stevens walked up to me and he shook my hand. He's like, man, I'm sorry about what happened to you. I was like, wow. And then I met Ilhan Omar, and then we ended up becoming, she helped me with my activism. I like to think of her as my friend. I don't know if she considers me that. I like her a lot.
Sure. Hey everybody, Stephen with Canna Connect, taking a quick minute to shout out today's sponsor, CEE. That is the Center for Energy and Environment. If you're not familiar with CEE, they're your one-stop shop for all lighting rebates. If you are in XL Energy territory and you're a micro business, CEE is somebody that you need to talk to. Give Brad a call, give Tony a call, go online, one-stop shop, LED lighting rebates. They'll help take care of up to 60% of the costs associated with your grow and your build-out with the lighting. Really nice people, great people to work with, huge sponsors of Canna Connect, and give them a shout. That's CEE, Center for Energy and Environment.
But it just opened a lot of doors through my story, because my story, and then I donate money to prisoners in federal prison, like Edwin Rubis. You know, these people call me all day long, and they need money, and they're still in prison behind these 90s drug laws.
Right.
So I don't know. That's what it's all about to me, because I can never forget the 8 years I spent in prison when I was 21 to 30 for marijuana. And I appreciate social equity. I appreciate it be written in the law. And it is a benefit to people if they know how to use it right. You know, they can't, this is America. You can't just say, oh, you went to jail for weed, here's $100,000. Because like, it just won't work. They don't do shit like that. You know, I think they should actually.
Right.
But, you know, so yeah, it's good.
You've got a unique connection to the Teamsters.
Yep, Sean O'Brien. Yep, I was in prison with one of his father's friends. And and I'm always in his ear about people in prison for marijuana charges, and he understands it. And yeah.
Cool. How's your relationship with Union Bank?
I like Union Bank. They're a great bank.
Amazing. And
they do good business, and they let marijuana bank there, unlike a lot of the other banks where you can't even bank cannabis to a lot of places.
What is like the movement of money like owning a dispensary compared to like when you were...
It's dangerous. With movement of money, dispensary is like, it's great because it's legal, and the cops will come with guns right away. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's like, The police are all right now, you know what I mean? They're here, they protect the industry.
Mhm.
It's very interesting seeing I have armed guard cops. They'll come pick up the cash, and I'm like, "Yo, you're the sheriff." Da, 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 da. I got arrested by you guys then, and they laugh. They're like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Yeah, they said social equity. I'm here. Let's go." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So they pick up the money. Yeah, their Union Bank's great. I love Brandon. What kind of flower are you rocking with right now?
A lot of tribal weed. I got some non-tribal weed, but yeah,
Mhm.
the tribe has been the main source. You know, Mille Lacs got the fifth largest grow in America.
I
So
didn't
they've
know
been
that.
pumping out, they've been holding down the industry. And the thing with the tribal weed, because it is hard to get product right now, I can go to the tribes and explain my story. And they all, the tribe land has been policed by the feds forever. So
Yep.
if you get a DWI on the tribe land,
Mhm.
you go to federal court. You know, if they pick, like,
Yep.
the feds have jurisdiction. So the tribes have been a victim of the harsh sentencing in the federal laws.
Mhm.
And that's the thing I can't stress enough to Minnesotans. It's not about getting arrested. It's about the harshness of our drug laws and the marijuana laws. Like, I had a 5-year minimum mandatory, and I got 11 years sentence. So like, the judge, he would have had to like went crazy to just give me 5 years, you know. And so it's like the harshness of the sentence. I'm not saying people shouldn't get arrested, but the marijuana doesn't do the damage to society that is proportionate to sentencing.
Mhm. 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 Now, you found that some of these groups don't want to work with you.
Well, they
Would you
can't
care to
handle
comment?
history.
Would you care to
Yeah,
comment on
I'll
that?
comment, and that's why I like the tribes, and the tribes are giving back to social equity. Because if you go to a tribal like wholesaler or whatever, and you tell them like, "Yo, this is how I'm social equity," or even you tell them, "Yo, I'm military," you tell them I've been in this community forever,
Mhm.
they're not going to just think about the money, you know, and they're going to
Sure.
make sociable decisions, and I like that shit.
Yes.
And then other operators do the same thing, you know. I have non-tribal partners that I work with, and they're awesome. And
Right.
you know, I just kind of like look at people, and if they don't understand, you know, my mission, I'm just like, okay, well, go do something for your community. Then I hope they do, you know?
Right. Right. Have you found that, like, let's go back to kind of 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, like, have you found that you've felt more accepted, even though this is your community in the sense
Oh,
of
yeah.
your experience, but like, do you feel that that your message is resonating more now?
The thing about Minnesota is I love this place so much. I love these people so much. So a certain element, I remember we were at the when we first met, we were at the sandwich shop,
Yeah.
and the guy came up to me as a
Yeah.
bartender. He's like, "Man, Travis, seeing you win gives me hope." He's like, "I'm in the streets right now." So there's certain elements about Minnesota that I love and respect, and that would be the streets. So they're always going to support me, and I don't do anything wrong. Nothing. Like, I don't break any rules because I know that I can help the people that are incarcerated with no voice. And I spent so much time in there with no voice, that helping them. And plus, like, for real, crime's dead with all the cell phones and everything. It's
Sure.
like, I'm better. I'm in my 40s now. I'm better off. I got a good thing going. I'm not going to mess it up. Like,
Yeah.
I elevate to where I'm at in life.
Right.
You know, I've been up, I've been down. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm up right now.
There's no point in backdoor trapping at this
No,
point. Right. Right.
no, no.
And where is your dispensary located? If people
415 17th Avenue North, Hopkins, Minnesota, right on Highway 7 and
Right.
Hopkins Crossroads.
right out right by the is it LA Fitness
Yeah,
over there?
right across from LA Fitness,
Yeah.
Hopkins, on the border of Minnetonka. Yeah, it's been a steady spot.
And tell me about your team. Like, who's
I got my best friend that I got arrested with, Ben. He's my manager. He's the metric professional. Yeah.
okay?
He did 5 years. And it's like the seriousness we bring to it, because of like the seriousness of what happened to us over cannabis, is amazing. Like, we really care. Like, we love this stuff. Like, I love selling people medicine, and I love telling my mom, "Look, mom, I had it right the whole time.
Yeah.
These people with these laws are crazy."
Right.
Like, that was it. Yeah, it's crazy, the laws and the level of scrutiny that is associated with the history of marijuana and the shit we went through just to smoke it, you know?
So you were just out in Virginia, in Arlington, Virginia, right?
Yep, day
At the
one rescheduling.
at
Yeah,
the
Minnesota said social equity, so I got to show up every time. Yeah, I was out there, and I stood in front of the DEA building, and I, we talked to some of the people going in there. We had a press conference.
Who do you tap in with when you do that kind of stuff? Or who were you out
Students
there
for
with?
Sensible Drug Policy,
Okay.
Cat over there, they're a leading national nonprofit on drug policy issues, and I really like their energy, and I like that they got the young people involved, and they have a good network,
Right.
and they get stuff done. So like, the money I'm able to make here at my store,
Yeah.
I'm able to get in with these nonprofits, donate, and then have them put the prisoners forefront. Like just last weekend, I was in Vegas at the Libertarian Freedom Fest, and we engineered that SSDP. Kat, the leader, and she engineered. She's like, "Yo, I got this event. It's a libertarian event. We're going there for a different issue that we're fighting for, but she fights for cannabis prisoners too." She's like, "You should come." And then I brought the guy main activist with is Jimmy Romans. He had a life sentence.
Wow.
And I linked up with him through the network of like going to prison forever type.
He had a
shit.
life sentence for drug charges?
Marijuana only, life in prison. Life in federal prison means life in prison. It's not state. State spoils people. You get out of state prison, you don't get out of the feds. So yeah, he had life, and then through his sister and all them people, there's activists all over the nation. It's a group effort to lobby for people in prison. It's not one person.
Yeah.
But his family a lot is the one person for him, and then Alice Marie Johnson got Jimmy out, right?
Okay.
So Alice Marie Johnson had a life sentence. Trump let her out in his last term, and then he let Jimmy out the last day of his last term, right? And Alice got him out. So now Alice Marie Johnson is the pardon czar. So we're hoping to push Jimmy is the and through social equity in Minnesota, we're doing a lot. Like I'm behind a lot of stuff. My story is very powerful to people. I noticed, like, because when I got out of prison, I sold granite countertops, and like I would sell a lot of jobs, and I gauge my customers' response if I didn't sell jobs. And I know recently too, when I tell people I'm operating and I have a legal dispensary, and all the time I did, and I pay sales tax, the people are like, "Whoa, you can do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
And you, between the granite countertop and Hopkins Dispensary, you were operating a smoke shop. What was it?
Laughing Waters. Yep,
in
I sold
Rochester?
that right when we went legal, right before we went legal. I sold that. Yep,
But
Laughing Waters. Yep.
You utilized the hemp program and the low
Yep.
potency opportunity.
Freedom Soda.
Freedom sodas.
Yep. Represent the prisoners. I remember I was at the Legacy Cup. That's another pioneer type thing.
Yeah.
Going
absolutely.
in Minnesota, and I seen all these people creating brands. And I swear, the spark in me of social equity. They say, pay when you get something good in life, you pay your best step forward, pay it forward. Like, that's everything I did. If Minnesota wouldn't have said social equity, I wouldn't have had the courage. I would have always told my story because, like, I know what I went through and I know how it went.
Yeah.
But yeah, I seen all these brands get created at Legacy, and none of them were talking about the prisoners. And I was making good money at my smoke shop then.
Sure.
I was like, shit, I'm gonna do Freedom Soda.
Yep.
Learned a little bit about manufacturing, and my first intention of Freedom Soda was put a prisoner's face on it, like the milk carton.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
Funny.
But that didn't work out. I might do that again though. So then Freedom Soda, we sold that, and I donate the money.
Activist of the Year 2024.
Yep, I'm very proud of that. I would like more competition. I would like to see a lot more people doing good. But as the industry unfolds, I do get Minnesota's a good place. I go to events all over the nation, and I preach for the prisoners all over. I go to Florida, Texas, everywhere. Minnesota's always a great response from people.
Cool.
They're like, "Oh man, that shouldn't have happened to you, Travis." Especially women in marginalized communities. All of them support and want to help the prisoners.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I've seen you travel all across the country. You go and
Freedom Van.
and you meet these people where they're locked up.
Yeah, I go to visit Edwin Rubis. Yep, I go visit. Yeah, I do. My heart's with them. Business is cool.
Yeah.
But like, if you really want to be great in this life, you got to help people. And I consider myself as like, just what happens to people when they get indicted by the federal government is something you will never know unless it happens to you. They take everything. They take all your time. They take all your thoughts. They say, "Hey, your life's on hold. You're going to sit in a prison with child molesters, murderers, other drug offenders, violent people." And you're like, "Oh shit, I was just selling weed. I didn't even know I was hurting anybody." So that's where my heart's at. That's what I want to do with my career.
Tell me about Edwin's story.
Edwin Rubis, 1997, he got indicted. He wasn't the leader of his He was not the leader of the conspiracy. Another guy was. Edwin Rubis is a Mexican guy. The other Spanish. The other guy was white guy. Told on Edwin, got 20 years. Edwin got 40 years. Went to trial. The trial penalty, and he's still in there from 1997. So, just me when I started making money off the hemp and with the thought of social equity and all that, I was like, well, I'm gonna donate money. I'm gonna get involved, and I've been helping, sending the money, doing what we can, trying to raise awareness. I'm hoping for clemency for everybody. I thought Biden was gonna do clemency. Now I'm like, what's Trump gonna do? That he's got some good things, some thoughts going. Rescheduling is less harsh, but
Well, yeah. What do you think of Trump?
I think that he's for Republicans, he is more forward thinking than any of the other Republicans for marijuana, and we have a Republican led country right now, so he's good for that. I want more clemency, rescheduling. I like descheduling, but I would say Biden, he let us down with not rescheduling, not getting the prisoners out on cannabis charges, and he could have did more. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, Trump, they said 250 people would get out, 250-year anniversary,
No.
and they do 250 clemency. They haven't done anything with clemency. So yeah, I want more radical,
Yeah.
I want people to get released.
Right.
What?
Rebates.
What?
Rebates
What are operators in the Minnesota space leaving on the table right now?
that they can get up to 60% of their lighting rebates covered if they're in XL Energy territory. And nobody's better at offering these rebates back to the growers and cultivators than what rebate?
Perfect.
HVAC, lighting, overall cultivation, air conditioning, dehumidifiers. We've got these hot temperatures. We've got these humid conditions. Growing in Minnesota is unlike any other state. Work with a group that understands lighting rebates as well as HVAC. What rebates?
Bingo.
What was the vibe out at the ALJ hearing in Virginia?
That Trump is pushing it, and they would shut it down if they could. The DEA, it's a bunch of bureaucrats in that building, and Trump's like, for whatever reason, I'm not a Trumpy, but he's pushing it for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with all the rescheduling. Like, I will take 1 foot forward on less cannabis laws and do rescheduling. And yeah, anything is better than Schedule 1 and just giving people prison time. And
Right.
yeah.
Do you think the new changes at the legislature this year are going to affect your business, like your ability to sell medical cannabis?
Yeah, that's good.
Things
I
like that.
Yeah, what we have to do, they got to do some sort of medical thing because, yeah, we got to just, I don't know what else.
What would you like for the industry to? How would you like the industry to come together in Minnesota, and what would you like to see at the state capitol going?
I'd like to see more people start manufacturing. I'd like to see more people just getting the grows up and going.
Yeah.
And not being upset and
Yeah.
just do the work, because Minnesota's very good on letting people start their businesses as far as in the cannabis industry.
Sure.
And we need more grows. Like, oh, I'm so excited. I get called. It is happening.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be better after the summer is over. We'll get more material to make more products.
Right. Absolutely. But from from a lobbying perspective, from an activism perspective, like where do you see opportunities still for us to push more?
I think job restrictions are really tough on felons, and job restriction on hiring people that have a first or second degree drug felony, not letting them work. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So we need to work on the job restrictions and the letting people, they should just do away with that.
Yeah.
If it's a 10-year, it's been 10 years since you got your felony, any type of felony, let them be in the industry completely.
Sure.
All felonies,
Right.
too. It's just stupid to not let people work or not let people own businesses, because then they're going to just be sitting around their house and commit crimes, and it's bad for society.
Right.
Just let the people work.
Right. Because you have a felony on your record and you were still able to get a license.
It helped me. I got social equity,
Right.
so it was good.
Right. I see what you mean. Yeah. Not every state allows for felons to get licenses. And
You're banned. And
cannabis.
like, yeah, in Illinois is terrible how they did it. They just did only the grows only certain people got the grow license in Illinois. Like anybody can grow here.
Yeah.
You know, no system is perfect, but this is what I argue, and this is another thing I like to say. The news and the press, they only like decisiveness. Like if you want to get an interview with the news, you got to be decisive. Like it's working. We have marginalized people doing it. You know, the natives are growing a little weed. We need more product, yes.
Yeah.
But the problem isn't in testing. The problem is people aren't building, they need to finish their grows. I mean, maybe extend licensing or whatever they have to do to help these folks out. But like people are working hard, but you know, we're starting something from the ground up.
Right. Yeah, what you're talking about is the divisiveness in the newspaper.
Yeah, it's not, they're not grasping the real realities. And I preach this especially to people that have been impacted by bad laws and cannabis. Like, don't be as discouraged. Call me. If you went to prison, call me. I'll help you. You know, no pedophiles or none of that stuff. But like, there is opportunity to get working. And if people that had been impacted by cannabis laws were not getting a fake shape, I'd be screaming to the high heavens, this shit is not working.
Right.
But we are.
Right.
I mean, the financial path to get in stores is a whole nother conversation, but this is America.
Sure. Right.
It's capitalistic society. It's free trade.
Yeah.
You know, and they do give out certain grants, and I don't know.
Talk a little bit about OCM and social equity director Jess Jackson.
I think she's good. She reaches out to the community a lot, and I think it's amazing that she came from an organization called Redemption Foundation out of Michigan, and she was already working with like Edwin Rubis, and she was the one sending them money.
Oh wow!
So I found out that later, and then the OCM is they're strict, you know, they raid and like, but as far as social equity, they get it. They get the history of and you know the other person who gets it, the consumers. The consumers love the history of marijuana and people that help people impacted by justice.
Yeah.
So all these people can avoid it, but really if they're not helping those impacted by social equity, I'm taking notes. I'm not, you know what I mean? There's a time and a place because material's so dry right now, but it's like this whole program got created off of social equity.
Right.
They were able to pass the marijuana laws by saying in Minnesota, by telling the rest of the legislators, like, hey, we're going to repair some of the harms that happened in history through drug laws, and we're going to do this thing called social equity. So that was like you know, we have a very liberal charged legislative back then when
it was the trifecta.
And that's why it's like, of course, people in the social, and they don't, like, I don't get extra perks because I'm like real social equity, if you ask me. You know, I went to prison for what? You know, without me going to prison, there is no other category.
Versus if I was a veteran, for example.
No, I respect and love the veterans. They're more honorable people than me, so I can never hate on them as a group.
Yeah.
And some of them did, you know, so I'm not on that at all.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
But I wish I would have went to the mid. But as far as like, I will say this, there is no social equity for veterans without me going to prison. How are you going to sell that? Unless you would have sold the category, hey, and explained it. But
they wind it.
Yeah, but veterans are way more honorable than me. I wish I would have went to the military instead of went to prison. Yeah. I admire them.
You go way back with Ben Lipkin.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I knew Ben. Ben seen me he knew about me going to prison. Yep. He's You Betcha and all them. Yep.
20 years later, you guys are both.
Yeah, in the industry. It's very interesting. Yeah. Ben's doing a good job. Yep.
Yeah. And what do consumers say?
Me and Ben, I'll tell you another story about Ben. Ben won't tell me, but we had a mutual friend, and this is what happened. Ben went, probably did better in school after this, but one of our friends got murdered over a half pound of marijuana.
Wow.
Heinz Mormon, rest in peace, at the Augsburg Park in 1998. Yep, he went to Southwest High School. He pulled up to sell these guys a half pound of brickweed. Ben was actually, Ben knew him, so yeah. Yep, they grew up in the same neighborhood. But anyway, Heinz pulled up to sell a half pound of brickweed, and the guys had their mindset that they were going to rob him. And he had already sold these guys weed before, so that's not fair. You know what I mean, right? He gets there, they pull out a shotgun, and then Heinz is like, they pull out the shotgun, Justin Stiles, he got life for it. He's like, yo, give me up your weed. Heinz is like, hell no, I ain't giving up my weed. Reaches for his gun, slams the trunk with the weed, and they blew him away. Yeah, dude's still in prison for that.
Wow.
That's why I do my Minnesota Canna history, right?
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that. What have you? What
It's very
stories have you
important to
tell you?
me
Yeah.
that like people remember like the history of marijuana. Like I don't require people to act to help prisoners, but it is pretty messed up that we're selling the same thing, profiting, living the life, partying, our whole being, our shows, everything is marijuana, cannabis, and there's people locked in cells, and it's just whatever the feds decided that person was going to prison. That person was going. It's ICE. ICE has been kidnapping people for marijuana charges. That's why when I love the Subaru moms. I love the ICE protesters. But man, if them people in 2004, the federal government did not do anything, they taught me a lesson. Stay away from them motherfuckers. Straight up. For real. But yeah, man.
I hear what you're saying because what you're talking about is unjust laws.
Yeah, they just come through, and then the ones they wanted, like even the protest, oh, you're indicted. Get indicted by the federal government, your whole life just changed. So it's like, yeah, I respect. When I went to federal prison in 2004, the federal agents weren't acting like how the ICE was acting in the streets of Minneapolis. They were acting with, like, man, I got treated with respect. I ain't gonna lie. I never talked to them,
Sure.
but it was like, yes, sir. They were in suits. Like that shit I saw, the way they acted in our city was disgusting. And the people I dealt with back in even the prison guards back in that time, they didn't act like these people. You know, and they're out there, there was rogue guards, but these guys, and it's the same federal agency. So something about going to federal prison, you just kind of understand the federal agencies.
Sure.
And
it's kind of wild to think that the DEA has been putting together a case for cannabis for rescheduling.
Bro, they don't mess around. When you get arrested, I got arrested by the DEA. Yeah, that they're putting on the rescheduling for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's Trump.
20 years. I guess it's a little more than I started high school in 2004. So when you got arrested, I was a ninth grader.
Yeah.
And just to think, like 22 years later, the federal government's finally coming around to it. Now they're definitely going to want their piece of it, right? If it goes legal at the federal level, they're going.
I just hope that they let, like, I got a guy, Jimmy Roman's co-defendant, Kevin Harden. He's been in 15 years on the same case that Jimmy was on, same marijuana that Jimmy sold. Kevin's in prison still. He didn't get out. He has a pacemaker on the outside of his body right now. And he calls and we talk to him. And it's like, he's in a Butner medical joint, but it's like, man, I just hope that, you know, even through doing stuff like this, like my whole media presence started and is because of stories like Kevin. Like, you know, you want to talk about cannabis, this he has a pacemaker on the outside of his body. He wears a jacket. They got a name for it, I forget it, but he wears a jacket with the pacemaker, and if that pacemaker like breaks, he'll die.
Wow.
And he's in there for marijuana.
Wow.
So I just hope that this rescheduling stuff, they hurry it up, because we've had a lot of people in there since the 90s.
It's still a problem. Absolutely. There's people whose lives have been turned upside down and ruined, and yet we're here talking about it. You're selling it. I'm trying. You know,
Minnesota's good though.
Yeah, Minnesota. You know, you get a lot of flack on Facebook when you put up posts that are, you know, pro what you believe in, but like you're not afraid to answer them either.
I love Minnesota, and I love Minnesota businesses. I even get mad at some of these Minnesota businesses, and I kind of try to leave them alone a little bit, because I'd rather fight with someone from out of state. You know what I mean?
What are you seeing from the out-of-state market that's coming into Minnesota?
They don't know they're not getting help.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
they don't belong. I mean, I don't really appreciate them. You know, I appreciate people that went to high school here. Like, that's the first thing you do. I'm gonna give your viewers some game, right? Ask them where they went. Someone wants to do business, ask them where they went to high school, right? Then maybe even do a Minnesota State court search on them, like if they're from here.
Sure.
And see, and then we have a lot of the cookies thing. You know, I answer that on Facebook. Right. Somebody has a banner on Washington Avenue of cookies, and like, you know, we're hearing rumors. This is all my opinion. That I don't think it's ever going to open, in my opinion. Yep. I've stated that.
Yep.
And then I hear, you know, people invest or whatever. There's all sorts of people running around saying that I got money on that or whatever. And this is all what I've heard, in my opinion. So it's like, you see out of state things like that, because no, I don't think cookies has anything to do with it. Right. But the banner is up
Right.
on Washington, and there are rumors.
But that brand is so diluted from what it started as, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's changed hands, and Burner only owns a little bit of it now, or whatever the story is. So it's like, but I mean, I'm with you. I don't think the typical Minnesota consumer really wants to rock with some
No,
out
I
of
don't think
state.
it'll work, and it's a weird place to put that dispensary.
Sure. There's
You know,
another
as
one in
far as-
Buffalo.
Yeah, so is that going to open? Is that open? Who knows? Who knows? And this is all just my opinion.
What about the medical companies that have now turned into?
In my opinion, I think they're scumbags. Like I guess I gotta buy some medical weed. So I mean, I like the sales rep or whatever, but their business practices
Yeah.
are not pro Minnesotan.
No.
And it's like, why have we even? Why are they here? Like how the Voop came up with this shit. They came here 8 years ago, got their own special license, and then they gave older special licenses to all these people. You won't get arrested for pot if you have this special license. What about the poor people? That shit was all bullshit, and I'm surprised Minnesota did it. And like it's like almost like we're just waking up to it now. Like what the fuck's been going on?
Because the medical program was so expensive.
Yeah, they're not giving back. You know what I mean? Like you got somebody from Minnesota, they're gonna go back to their community, shop in their community, do this and that. That's who I'm about. I could care less about an out-of-state person.
Right. Both of those licenses have changed hands since the original awarding of the license. So both medical operators are owned by out-of-state companies. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and stock market now, they're going on the stock market, so they have a fiduciary duty to make money off their shares, and they probably already are on the stock market. And I think Green Thumb is Green Thumb and Vireo.
Yep.
And then yeah, they didn't. The bill that went through was like pro Minnesota. Like they don't have a free pass here by any means. The legislators are holding them accountable, and they're getting hip to their shit.
Yep.
Because now tax revenue is coming in. The tribes are being supported. You have young people in the tribes getting excited about cannabis. We're creating an industry.
Right.
And my lawyer, rest in peace, Joe Friedberg, he told me Minnesota is the least corrupt state in the nation. So I do believe in the goodness of everyone, the legislator and the people in power.
Your lawyer was
Joe Friedberg.
Yeah, rest in peace, Joe Friedberg.
Yeah, that's my dog. Yeah, but the legislators they're seeing tax revenue now because I'm sending in sales tax. Everybody's so I think that
is it tough to keep track of all the ones and zeros when it?
No, you got to have everything perfect or you're screwed. You do not want to get behind. You got to keep up on metric. You got to have it in Dutchy. You got to have it synced. You got to tag your stuff. You got it and the OCM is inspecting, and they will come in and want everything. And after the harshness of the stuff I've been through with cannabis laws, like I would rather just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah,
how they tell me to do it.
You want to try one of these?
Yeah, man, let's go. What is it?
This is the Green Standard.
Hell yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
It's good, right?
Not a lot of sugar. I like it.
That's right. Only 6 added grams, or 6 grams plus 7 added grams.
Hell yeah. Who's distributing these for you?
GRD comes out of Earl Giles.
Oh, awesome.
And then the company that distributes Lunar.
That's the other thing Minnesota's famous for is our drinks.
Yeah.
We are really pioneered.
You tapped in early with that.
Yeah. The drink market is it's a tough business.
It is. It's heavy.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's heavy. I wouldn't, we'll do some Freedom Soda. So one of the main people that I work with is Redux Cannabis, and I know they're going to be bottling
I'm excited
high dose.
Yeah.
Yep, over there.
What can we expect from Redux Cannabis?
A lot of great products. Great guys that care about social equity, help me. Like the proof is in the pudding with me and my story. Like I don't even care like how people treat me. I kind of look at myself in third person. Like if you don't appreciate me, like that's fine, because I know who I am, and like some people appreciate what I've been through, you know what I mean, for the plant. I got sued last year by some clowns, you know what I mean, for speaking out the shit I say. It's not free, like the stuff I do, and I do it. I really do care about these people, the industry. I care about more the industry and the prisoners, you know what I mean? The people,
yeah,
we have to stay on track of the mission of actually like like having cannabis be different. Like I got somebody working in my store in a wheelchair, you have to be conscious of like who you hire, how you do it. And donating money is also very important if you're making money off cannabis.
Right. We're giving back.
Hell yeah.
Right. You take an issue with organizations that are
Oh, complete scumbags. Yeah, yeah. A lot of the nonprofits I've come to learn because I'd be excited, I'm not gonna start naming names. I don't want to get sued again.
mm-hmm.
But they're not intentioned. It's a business to make money, and I'm in this to help people,
Yeah.
and I make money selling weed.
Right.
So the national leaders on that shit, I don't understand it. And then I go off, because my story is like, as a first time felon, I did 8 years. Like, if I was told by all the nonprofits, oh, you don't belong here. We don't want you speaking. We want the accountant speaking. We want this lady that owns a business speaking, or we want this guy. I said, nah, man, this issue is about the prisoners. Not, that's why my main thing with Jimmy Romans and why I like SSDP a lot is they let the prisoner's voice be heard. And that was one thing that social equity did. It emboldened me to let people who have actually been impacted by this be heard at these events. And like even last weekend, it was great. It was my first event at like Opposing Views with the Libertarian Republican type deal. So like, and I had Jimmy Romans who's received life. They'd be like, oh, we don't like weed. And then I'd be like, well, I make money off it, sir. And I send in taxes. They're like, oh, that's good. And then Jimmy Roman would be like, Trump let me out. I had a life sentence for weed. They'd be like, oh, maybe weed's not that bad. And then Rand Paul showed up and we talked to him. Jimmy told him his story. So it's like, yeah, man.
Rand Paul, he's fighting for the hemp bill as well. He's fighting for
Rand Paul, yeah, he said that they decimated his hemp bill. He's mad about it.
Yeah.
He told us to keep fighting for the prisoners. He said basically it's not as bad as it used to be. And he appreciated us. I shook his hand,
Saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really glad you're out there. If I think about everybody that I've met through Minnesota Cannabis, you're the number one guy who's out there beyond Minnesota. Not just talking about cannabis business and product. You're talking about something deeper than that, foundational.
The history of how we got to where we are in 2026. How did we get to this 50-70 billion dollar industry? It's like it's a weird history. It's a history like mine and Ben's friend that got murdered. Like, you know what I mean? It's like these things happened.
Right.
I went to prison for 8 years for this. I sell more weed now than I went to prison for.
Yeah. Wow.
And the cops, I mean, like,
right.
And I don't have any chip on my shoulder, I guess, towards like society. I'm grateful that rules changed, but I definitely want to keep helping people that were impacted like me, keep with the spirit of social equity. Try to, and I encourage people just to like even Google, like I always tell people, Google marijuana indictment, cannabis indictment, go get the name, go on BOP.gov and send these guys a couple bucks.
Sure. And then when you go into your store, you can see some of the history of the Marijuana Tax Act and the folks that were first criminalized for the plant in the 20s and 30s of the 1900s. And like, I definitely recommend people link up with you, reach out to you, visit your store, purchase the products from the store. And I know that as more supply becomes available, you're going to keep it 100 on pricing and provide a fair price for these.
I'm a smoker too. Every day I wake up, break up some weed, grab some rosin, put it in my weed, and start smoking joints. I used to smoke blunts,
Yeah.
But so really understanding like the plant and loving the plant is pretty helpful. And I understand the people that come in, and they need to get high, man. Life's tough.
Right.
These are getting me buzzed up, man. I like it.
You got CBG in there, you know what I'm saying?
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, we appreciate your support. This whole interview came about after luckily for NECAN. I think it was NECAN this year. So
yeah, NECAN was great. I liked that event. I brought the cutouts of the inmates serving life sentences. And that I can't stress enough, like those inmates calling me saying, man, Travis, we love you, we support you. Like that's kind of like who I look up to. I feel like you bring up Burner, like, yeah, I like Burner. I like his music, he's good. But my heroes in this industry are different. My heroes are the people that got some fire ass weed, or like, you know what I mean? Or like the people that did a life sentence, like Randy Lanier or Jimmy Romans, for weed, got out still love marijuana.
Yeah. Do you who do you connect with, and who do you bounce ideas off of, like, locally here? Are there any guys you look up to, or people you look up to in Minnesota that you rock with?
Uh, you know, yeah, for sure. You know, I can't give all the details
Sure.
of the inner circle. A lot of people have been supportive, you know, and I would like more people to support for sure because I support the prisoners. I would like to see more people say, "Hey, I donate to veterans that are wounded fighting for their country," or I donate to you know, like women's shelter. You know, I want to see more of that. That is what's cool to me.
Yeah,
That's like what I respect.
to give back.
Yeah, doing something for people that I can't do nothing for themselves that need help.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we want to be better at that too.
Yeah, you got and really doing it and really like visiting or like just doing some stuff with the money and then advertise like showing the community like, yo, this is what, be proud of it, you know, be consistent with it, you know, and like I like that stuff. I don't, you know, I like really good weed too though.
Yeah.
And Ross, you know what I mean? Straight up. But
If
yeah.
if people want to tap in with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Man, I'm always available. 612-222-0471. I'm available for the community. If you're a lame, I might tell you you're a lame. I'm sorry.
Not
You know what I
afraid-
mean? I
not
did a
afraid
lot
to
of
d-
time. Straight up, I'm doing the best I can out here. They said social equity. I didn't say it.
Right.
If they didn't say social equity, and like, man, we're gonna keep winning on Democrat liberal valleys. Like that's not going anywhere in Minnesota. So like,
Right.
I really do live a clean life and try to represent the prisoners in a good way, you know, but like I just don't like it when people don't have no appreciation for the people serving life sentences, or they say shit like, "Oh, they knew what they were doing," or
Right.
well, yeah, but they got life, bro. They're gonna freaking die in there, and they didn't hurt anybody. So it's
Right.
like, in the community, in this business, this industry does have a obligation to the people serving life sentences and the people that are going to die there for the same thing we're consuming. And I believe that wholeheartedly, that if all these dispensary owners got together and started screaming, yo, it's not right.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. And they told me this at the Libertarian event, some guy. You got to frame it about money for people to care.
Sure.
And that's why I do perfect metric. That's why I do shit right.
Yeah.
Because I have to make money now, I realize. Screaming on the sidelines is not going to help anybody.
Right. You got to play the game. I see.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. See. Well, we'd love to have you back, man. We appreciate your support.
Hell yeah, go marijuana.
Go marijuana.
Blaze it up.
Blaze it up. Hopkins Dispensary, right off County Road 7, right next to
Highway 7. County
Highway
Road,
7.
they say that if they're not from there.
That's right.
But Highway 7 and Hopkins Crossroads.
HWY 7. All right. Travis Cullen, thank you for being on the Canna Connect Show.
Awesome. Good job.
Appreciate it.